welcome to The Naked Dish. And today I want to share with you guys a quick, easy, delicious, and cheap recipe that you can use to start off the week, and which is great for this cold weather that we're having. But first I want to thank Kelly for sharing this recipe for me. Kelly's one of my Facebook friends and who recommended this recipe, so thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But today, like I said, we're going to be making a red lentil and curry soup. And what's great about this recipe is that you can make it in bulk, which means that you can have leftovers for a few nights out of the week so that you're not always in the kitchen making dinner. And I know everyone's busy, we have a ton of things to do, so any time that you can make enough food to last you a few meals, it always makes life easier. And we're going to be using fresh, local, and organic ingredients for this recipe, as always. And as always, I get all my food from A Market Natural Food Store right here in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's a really great natural food store, so if you're ever in the area, be sure to check it out. And what's also good about this recipe is that we're going to be using red lentils and quinoa, which are great non-meat protein sources. So if you're a vegetarian, or if you're looking for a vegetarian dish, this is a great recipe to follow. But by all means, you can add meat to it if you want. Chicken would go really well with this. Even shrimp would go really well with this. And if you're trying to stay and eat according to your metabolic type, and you are a protein type, you might want to have a side of protein with this meal because as a protein type, if you're a fast oxidizer, it's really good to have an animal source in terms of getting your protein. So let's get started making our red lentil and curry soup. So the first thing that we're going to do is gather all of our ingredients. I have a cup of dried quinoa that I've had soaking for the past few hours, a cup of red lentils, which have also been soaking, I have a bunch of local and organic kale, 3 red tomatoes, a few sprigs of cilantro, a lime, which I'll only be using half of the lime just for its juice, 3 sweet potatoes, a whole bunch of okra. We have turmeric, we have cumin, curry powder, paprika, and Celtic Sea Salt. And I'm going to be cooking it in a glass Tupperware here. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to wash all of my vegetables pretty thoroughly. Now, all of my veggies have been washed, and all I'm going to do now is cut up all the vegetables and put them in my glass cookware here. Okay, now all of my vegetables have been diced, and I've cut them and left them fairly large because when they cook in the glass and when they boil, they're going to break down, and if you cut them too small, they're going to really disintegrate into nothing. So I really left them pretty big. Cut up the kale, and I have drained and rinsed my quinoa and my red lentils. All I'm going to do now is throw everything in the pot. Alright, so I've put all the red lentils in the pot. I'm going to put the quinoa in here as well. Now I'm going to put in all the vegetables, and those can just go all in at the same time. And this is just going to sit and just simmer for about an hour. And I'm actually going to save the kale. I'm not going to put it in just yet because I don't want my kale to get too soft and too soggy in the soup. So I'm actually going to save that till we're about 20 minutes done, and then I'm going to throw it in for the last 20 minutes or so. So now I got all the vegetables in the pot here, and I'm going to add some fresh spring water to the mix here. Just enough to cover all the vegetables. What I'm going to do next is add all of my seasonings. Half of a tablespoon of salt, and I really just eyeball my seasonings. Half a tablespoon of salt. We're going to do about half of a tablespoon of cumin, turmeric, curry powder, which gives it a nice warm flavor, and paprika, which gives it some nice color here. It will look great with the greens and the red lentils. And that's about it. I got all my veggies in there, I got all my spices in there. And all I'm going to do now is cover it up and turn it on low. So on my oven, it's about a 3 out of 10. Now I'm going to let it sit here for about 45 minutes and just let it do its thing. And then about 20 minutes before we're done, I'm going to throw in the kale. Alright, it's been about 45 minutes since I put in the vegetables, the water, and the spices. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to just give it a quick taste test to see how the spices are doing. Pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit more salt to this and a little bit more curry powder because I love that flavor of the curry. Gives it a nice warm flavor. So I'm going to add a little bit more salt. And with your seasonings, you really want to layer with your seasoning. So whenever you're adding an ingredient to a dish, it usually requires a little bit more spices. And you're always better off using a little bit less at first, and as it's cooking, add more as you go along, because the last thing you want to do is put too much seasonings at the beginning and then you get stuck with something that just really, if you put too much salt at first, then you really can't take it away. So I'm going to add a little bit more curry powder to this and give it a quick stir. So now I'm going to add my lentils, and if you remembered, we saved the the kale towards the end, because I like to keep my greens with a little bit of texture to them, and I don't like them to get too soggy. Here we are, and it's looking yummy and delicious. And I'm going to, like I said, let this sit for another 15 minutes or so. I'm going to cover it up, and I'll be right back. Alright, 15 minutes have passed. The kale's cooked. The lentils and the quinoa look awesome. The vegetables aren't too soft. That's why we cut them in nice big pieces so that they would keep their texture. So let's give this a whirl. Get a little bit of okra in here. Awesome. That curry really adds a nice warm flavor to it. And with it being chilly outside, nothing better than sitting at home with a big bowl of soup. So hopefully you guys enjoy the recipe, and I will talk to you guys next time. See you later.